Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking you on a journey beyond the headlines about robotic rehabilitation, specifically stroke recovery. It's a field that's absolutely buzzing with potential, and we're going to unpack how this cutting-edge tech is helping people regain movement and what the future holds.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for sure. What's often overlooked is the crucial role of human-robot interaction, or HRI. In making this therapy truly effective, it's not just about strapping someone into a robotic suit, it's about creating a dynamic partnership between human and machine.
We're talking about technology that can help people regain lost motor function. Things like grasping objects, walking, even just getting out of a chair. And our deep dive is going to break down how these robots are being designed to not just move limbs, but to actually interact with the patient in a way that enhances the entire therapy process.
Yeah, that's the key, interaction. Imagine a robot that can sense how much effort a patient is putting into an exercise and adjust the level of assistance accordingly, or one that provides real-time feedback, encouraging the patient and tracking their progress. This is where HRI really shines.
So before we dive into the specifics of how these robots are changing the game, let's talk about the types of robots we're dealing with here. I'm picturing those exoskeleton suits, kind of like something out of a sci-fi movie.
You're on the right track. Exoskeletons like the ME686 and WXOs are definitely getting a lot of attention. These wearable devices provide support and guidance to specific joints, allowing for very precise movements. They can be incredibly helpful for regaining strength and coordination.
But those bulky exoskeletons aren't the only players in the game, right?
Exactly. We also have end-effector robots, like the PawRobot and DiagnoBot. These are simpler systems that focus on assisting with specific tasks, such as moving a hand or arm. They're generally more affordable and portable, making them a promising option for home-based therapy.
So, we've got these two main categories of robots: exoskeletons for precise, full-body support, and end-effector robots for targeted, task-specific assistance. Now, the big question is, how do they go beyond just moving limbs and actually interact with the patient in a meaningful way?
That's where the magic of HRI comes in. We're talking about systems that incorporate sensors, actuators, and advanced control algorithms to create a dynamic, responsive interaction between the robot and the patient.
Okay, break that down for me. What are these sensors and actuators actually doing?
Think of sensors as the robot's eyes and ears. They're constantly gathering information about the patient's movements, muscle activity, and even their level of effort. Then you have actuators, which are essentially the robot's muscles. They receive commands from the control system and translate them into precise movements, adjusting the robot's assistance based on the sensor feedback.
So, it's like a constant loop of information flowing between the patient and the robot, allowing the robot to adapt and respond in real time. That sounds pretty futuristic.
Actually, we're seeing some incredible robots already being used in clinical settings, and even in homes. Take the wristbot, for example. This robot uses something called impedance control to create a very natural, intuitive interaction.
Impedance control, that sounds pretty technical.
Essentially, it means the robot can sense the forces the patient is applying and adjust its own resistance accordingly, creating a feeling of smooth, guided movement. It's almost like having a human therapist gently guiding your wrist.
So, the robot is not just moving the limb, it's actually responding to the patient's own efforts, creating a more collaborative experience.
Exactly. And this kind of responsive interaction is key for making the therapy more effective and engaging. That's the exciting part. Studies are showing that HRI-based rehabilitation can lead to significant improvements in motor function,
Patient engagement.
and overall satisfaction.
So, it's not just a cool tech demo, it's actually making a real difference in people's lives.
Absolutely. We're seeing evidence that this technology can help people regain strength, coordination, and independence. And what's really compelling is the impact on patient motivation. When therapy feels more interactive and engaging, people are more likely to stick with it and see those positive results. And it's not just about the wow factor of the technology. What's really driving these positive outcomes is the unique way HRI addresses some of the fundamental challenges of stroke rehabilitation.
You got me intrigued. Let's dig into that. What are some of these challenges that HRI is tackling head on?
One of the biggest hurdles in traditional therapy is the sheer amount of repetition needed for the brain to rewire itself after a stroke. It's a process called neuroplasticity, and it requires consistent, targeted practice. Human therapists, as dedicated as they are, can get fatigued or have slight variations in how they deliver therapy.
Robots, on the other hand, never get tired. They're like the tireless workout buddies of the rehab world.
Precisely. Robots can deliver those repetitive movements with incredible precision and consistency, session after session. This consistency is crucial for stimulating neuroplasticity and maximizing the patient's potential for recovery.
But it's not just about mindless repetition, right? Are people actually enjoying this type of therapy?
That's another area where HRI is really making a difference. Researchers are finding that patients who engage in HRI-based therapy tend to be more motivated, more engaged, and more satisfied with the rehabilitation process.
I can see why. It's interactive, it's personalized, and it feels less like a chore and more like a high-tech challenge.
Exactly. And that psychological boost is huge. When patients are more engaged, they're more likely to stick with their therapy, put in the effort, and ultimately achieve better outcomes.
We're seeing real benefits in terms of both physical recovery and patient motivation.
Yeah.
But with all this talk about advanced tech and remote monitoring, I can't help but wonder about the human element. Are we in danger of losing that personal connection between therapist and patient?
That's a valid concern, and one that's being carefully considered as this technology evolves. But here's the key takeaway. Robots are not meant to replace human therapists.
So it's not a robots versus humans situation, but rather a robots and humans working together scenario.
Exactly. Robots excel at providing consistent, repetitive therapy, collecting data, and personalizing exercises. But human therapists bring so much more to the table: empathy, encouragement, and that human touch that's so vital for motivation and emotional support.
It's like having a dream team. The robot handles the technical aspects, and the therapist focuses on the human connection, creating a truly holistic approach to rehabilitation.
Precisely. And that's why the future of HRI and stroke rehabilitation is likely to involve a more integrated approach, where robots and therapists work seamlessly together to provide the best possible care.
That's a reassuring thought. It's not about replacing human expertise, but rather augmenting it with technology to achieve even better outcomes. It really feels like we're entering a new era of stroke rehabilitation, one where technology plays a central role in helping people regain their lives. And what's striking to me is how HRI is not just about the physical aspects of recovery, but also the emotional and psychological aspects.
Absolutely. When you think about it, recovering from a stroke is not just about regaining physical function. It's about rebuilding confidence, rediscovering independence, and adapting to a new way of life.
It's clear that HRI has the potential to revolutionize stroke rehabilitation, making it more effective, more accessible, and more engaging. But it's not a simple fix, and it requires careful consideration of the ethical implications and the importance of maintaining human connection and autonomy throughout the process. As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one message you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I'd say this: the future of stroke rehabilitation is bright, and HRI is playing a key role in shaping that future. Embrace the possibilities this technology offers, but do so with a critical eye, ensuring that it's used ethically, responsibly, and in a way that truly empowers patients to reclaim their lives.
Well said. This deep dive has been an incredible journey. And I'm truly excited to see what the future holds for this field. To our listeners, keep exploring, keep learning, and never stop believing in the power of human ingenuity and the potential for healing. This is just the beginning of what's possible.